Hey there, everybody. I am thrilled to bring you somebody who is a rising star in our community as today's guest. She is so encouraging to so many of us in our chat boxes. She shows up not just for herself and for her others. And a part of what she does as her self care is just amazing. She upholds the tarot and self care, and putting in the time consistently is what pays off. Let's go hang with Miranda Magick, shall we? I got a friend back here. Hey, everybody. I have a friend back here with me. Where is she? Where is she? Oh, they're hiding from me. Settings. Settings. Where are you? There she
There
is.
I am. Yeah, because it's
like
showing on my screen that I'm in the show, but I couldn't say anything. So hopefully you didn't hear my little comment about me being nervous.
You're doing great, my friend. You're doing great. First of all, before we get started, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing, where you been.
Okay, this is my other channel. Well, I guess it's my channel. Whatever. I'm nervous. Miranda's Cauldron. People know me also as Rita H. I've had my channel for coming up to a year on Halloween. Relatively new. I can't really say relatively new for YouTube because I joined YouTube because of Heartbreathing's writing community and their sprints. And I found it was just easier to go to YouTube than just sticking around on Facebook because you couldn't see all the comments. So I am a young adult, supernatural, urban fantasy writer. I have 2 grown children. I currently now have 1 grandbaby who's about 3 months old now. And I have written, not published, I've written 2 books and 2 series. Started as 1 book, but it was so many words, I split it into 2. And when my daughter went away to college, I want to say 7 years ago, I started a 3rd book because I'm in Canada and my first 2 series was based in the US, 1 in California, 1 in the Salem area. And my sister says, why don't you write about Canada? So I decided that I will write my next series based on my hometown in Eastern Ontario. I used my old high school as their high school. I drew it from memory, made a few changes because, well, let's just say sometimes the staircases just didn't go right on my map, so I had to play around with it. And the homes, and before I start any series, I do all my maps, including my floor plans of each character's house. And for this one, which is named Maple River, it's all my houses are drawn from memory of all my aunts' houses, my parents' house, and a few other houses that I lived in. So it was kind of fun.
Your maps are pretty detailed. That's amazing.
Yeah, they are. I'm pretty proud of myself. And back in, I want to say probably late 80s, I got my first tarot card deck. And my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, found them while my sisters and I were playing with the tarot cards, and he blew up. He grabbed them and threw them in the garbage. He said, tarot are evil. You should not play with them. He grew up, his grandparents and family live in small communities. And to them, tarot was just evil. So of
We
course he
have
thought
people
so.
in this community who know otherwise, and you're one of them alongside Mama Maggie.
And then I got my next deck 22 years ago. And I kept them hidden like a good witch does, keep all her tools hidden from the community. And well, he's found them. And he was pretty upset about it. And I said, well, hasn't our life been pretty good the last couple of years? And he says, well, yeah. And I said, well, then tarot's not evil. And before that, I was drawn to runes, which is basically just symbols from the Norse and German. back in, I don't know how long ago. And I played around with that more. And even my daughter, when she was like 2, she collected her own stones, and I had to draw out runes for hers too. So she would play with her rune stones. And then when she got a little bit older, I think she might have been 8 or 9, she wanted her own deck of tarot cards. And bringing it back to writing, she was probably around the same age, maybe a little bit older. She would help me with my writing. There was some scenes I was having difficulty in my first one, trying to figure out how to see it. And she acted out a couple of scenes. One scene in particular, she was my harpy monster. And there was a couple of my main characters were kind of based on her and her friends. And I would read some of the dialogue to her, and she'd say, "Mommy, Emily would not talk like that." And I'm like, okay. So I read it over again, and it was just not Emily. So I had to change it. And she wrote a couple stories herself when she was younger. So yeah, but that's a little ramble on for 7 minutes.
I love listening to you talk about tarot just as much as I do Mama Maggie, and it now realizes to me that I need to get both of you on Tarot Thursdays together. I think that would be a blast to do that together. That would be fun. Thank you for lurking and listening, Mama Maggie. I know you're doing some pop-up sprints right now, so SHU being what SHU is, please show some love. Jess also slid on into the chats there. You were here in your pace and your time and your stride like Gandalf in parties, and you know it. Rachel, hello, and Pasqua's here. Hello, how is everyone? If you have any questions for Miranda while she's doing her workshop and presentation, please go ahead and feel welcome to mark them with a Q. I'll pin them and we'll address them together at the end as we go along, everybody. So we're going to get some slides going. I'm going to go ahead and not be the focus because she going to rock it out because she awesome. Let's go ahead and do and see how it is and learn some tarot self-care things. Go for it, my friend. You've got this.
Hello, tarot and my daily self-care. First of all, I try to journal every day about what I did, what I'm doing, what I'm feeling, that kind of stuff. But sometimes I'm just too tired, too exhausted, or maybe just too angry to put that pen to paper. So I skip a day. And the little image there is, I basically have one of my journals when I put all of it in. I put a little title page. I don't know if you can see it or not. Little title page and all that fun stuff. And personally, it really makes a difference of the journal you use. I got a journal from a friend. It was this one. However, it wasn't the right size. I wrote it up, my cards and my journaling, for probably 2 weeks. Didn't like it. So I rewrote it all in one of these books. This is from Michael's. They come in beautiful colors, dots or lines. And I don't know how many of those, but those are my go-to. So that's for that slide. And the next slide.
Are you able to scroll it down on your end?
Oh, sure. Okay. I thought you were doing that. Okay. No problem.
It's not letting me do the scroll. It's letting me do everything else, though.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Self-care and tarot. There's no wrong way to bring tarot into your daily or weekly self-care routines. I use mini tarot deck. This is one of the easiest ones that I have to read. It comes with, and it was actually one of my first ones too. Let me just grab my books. So this is the book that came with that deck. And then another deck I have is Witch's Tarot.
Oh, can we see that cover a little bit longer, hon? Those covers are gorgeous.
And it is the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is one of my favorite cards. This deck is really easy to learn, They're really simple cards. This is the Chariot. Very simple. And that's not that one. This one is the Witch's Tarot. And that's the front and the back with the triple moon. I personally do not like the Royal Suite, the King, Queen, Page, and Knight, because I can never remember them. It's just one of those things. It's so hard for me to remember. And thanks to Sarah, I have the Light Seers deck. I don't have just one, I have two, because this is the one that my friend gifted to me and didn't come with the cards. Came with the cards, didn't come with the guidebook. So I found another deck. Comes in this cute little tin with a book. So now I have two of those of the Light Seer decks.
I have a link for that one because I highly recommend it and use it too. So definitely feel welcome to go ahead and grab that one, everybody.
And my daughter, for Mother's Day a couple of years ago, first of all, we are both love Buffy, and she saw the Buffy tarot deck, and she had to get it for me for Mother's Day. And my daughter-in-law's mother, it's kind of weird. I just call her the other grandma now. She's my other daughter's mom. She gave me the Mystical Cats, which is so cute. If you have cats, it's a must. It's a must, just saying. And I have a few other decks that I don't use. My first deck was something to do with the Roman myths. And because I really liked the Roman mythology. Then I got the cards. I didn't really like them. I have another deck. It's called Woodland something. I don't like the pictures on that either, so I don't use them anymore, which is kind of sad. And I also have used the Moonology cards, Moonology decks from Yasmin Bolin. I have a link over on my channel for my weekly streams. And I also have used the Cat Wisdom cards, which is really cute. It's just a picture of a cat. And for example, this one, and it has a little word reminder. This one's readiness. Sometimes it's security, clumsiness, all these different things. And I also use the animal spirits. And like I said earlier, I'm really into runes. So I found these on Amazon. The Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle. It has a combination of the animals with the meaning as well as the runes. And they're pretty well dead on to the meanings that I'm familiar with. Sometimes, if I remember, if I just need it, I light candles. This is when I went to visit my son over the summer, he found this for me and gave it to me. So that was kind of nice. And the last few years on holidays, my daughter's been giving me candles too with it's those candles, the charm ones that you get little necklace or rings in them. This is the one that she got me from, I want to say from last Halloween, but it was more like midsummer and I haven't used it yet. I'm going to be using that when I continue drafting Maple River in November. So and I use colored pens just because black pen are kind of boring. So I use my colored pens for that. And that's it for that slide. So I'll bring down the next. And that is my different tarot decks. And when I was looking through Canva, this was the picture that I found. I'm like, hey, that's pretty awesome. I have that deck. So that's for that slide. My tarot journal This is kind of what I set up for my tarot journal. I use the date. I write down what the card is. In this example, I just put Ace of Cups because I found that on that image. And it's for water. For all cups is water, and Ace is beginnings. And I just wrote down a couple of keywords: emotions, relationships. What are my main relationships in my life? And then I put in brackets sometimes, or just continue writing. I'm not going to get too personal, so I'm just going to put down that the relationships in my life, husband, my kids, my family, and that also includes my extended family for my son's family, his wife, her family. Because even before they were married, they always included us in our family get-togethers. I remember even one year, it was her grandpa's birthday, and all his grandkids were in the picture, including Brennan. And then he pipes up and says, "Hey, there's one missing. Martina, get your butt over here." So that was a good thing that she was included in that. And like I said, I like to use different color pens. And I don't always use the tarot cards, so that's another little slide of the main cards I use and the creators of those books or those cards. Hopefully I'm not going too fast.
We had a couple of questions come in, but I start them for you. You're on time, actually. Okay. You're doing great time.
Okay, yeah, because I'm about halfway through the slides. And it was probably a couple months ago, I decided, okay, I'm not going to just do a daily card of the tarot and whatever. And sometimes I don't even do a tarot for the day. But I decided to do a weekly spread and put it in my HB90 notebook or bullet journal, whatever. I just call it my HB90 notebook. And I typically draw 3 or 4 cards. And now I'm just drawing 3 because it fits in my holder that I have that I picked up. So that was perfect. And it helps with the direction of my week. This is written in my HB90 or bullet journal. First, I use my intuition, and then I use whatever from the guidebook. And then I just write about that card of what I expect for the week, what I'm feeling, all that emotional and fun stuff. Okay, and just another little bit extra. Cards of my choice. Sometimes I just feel like doing the runes, the animals, the moon cards, the cat wisdom, and I usually pick 2 to 3. Sometimes I do 4, like yesterday when I drew them. I had my tarot, 4 of Cups. Should probably switch this over so I can see. Make sure you can see it too. So that's the one I got yesterday. And my animal, this was actually when I drew, this is the frog when I did my last writing sprints. And that would have been on Thursday. So this is the one I draw for that. And when I do my writing streams, I draw 1 or 2, 3 cards during that. And that's the one I picked for that one. And I think that was also the same day when I drew this one. The new moon in Scorpio, walk through your fears. And it's the same idea. I write them down, and then whatever thought comes to my head while that card. And sometimes it really bothers me that when I'm looking at the next day when I come and do my journaling, because it's upstairs in my writing space. And I brought my journal downstairs with a deck of cards, but I just can't do it down there. Just like I can't write. This is my writing space upstairs. So this is what I do. But sometimes you just need to rest. and I just don't do the cards that day. So quite often, it's like, for example, if I didn't do my cards yesterday, sometime today, I would write down. I wouldn't draw cards for yesterday because it's kind of silly to draw the cards after the day's already gone. But I sometimes write down in journal format what I did, any significant things I did, how I felt, if I was tired, if I was just didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to read all day, which I've done that sometimes. And next up is the runes. I already told you the story of when I started, and one of my first runes that I made myself was I just went to the school where my son would have been. Well, he was in junior kindergarten for a couple of months until we moved from Ontario to Alberta. That we found little stones at his playground that we wrote on for the runes. So this is the same idea. If I was going to be doing the animal runes, I would write down the animal, the card, what the rune was, the keywords. For example, this one is sorry for the punctuation. It was the Dagnus, and it's the bottom rune. And it's for the butterfly in this case. And it's a couple of keywords was transformation, breakthrough, and awakening. I then journal my thoughts with those keywords. And I do have quite a few different sets of runes. I know when I went back home to Ontario, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, I collected rocks from special places around my home. I picked some from my grandma's garden, my mom and dad's, just on the walk in the woods, that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the month, I do a monthly summary. In the same journal notebook, I just put down a little bit easier. I put the date and then what the card was and a couple of keywords. And then that way, then I keep track of if any of them are similar, pop-ups the same. I know, for example, for the Three of Cups is for emotions. And when my mother was still with us, I would draw her cards all the time. And I'm not kidding you, every single time I would draw her cards, I would always come up with the Three of Cups. She has 3 daughters, which I thought was rather amusing. And even on her birthday and when she died, I always draw her cards the last few years. And it always comes up one of those 2 days has the Three of Cups. This time around in August, I drew her cards, and I did not get the Three of Cups. I was pretty upset, and then I drew later that day for my cards, and I got the Three of Cups. So instead of my sisters, I feel the Three of Cups now represents my daughter, my daughter-in-law, and my grandbaby. So I thought that was rather amusing. And then that's the end of our slides. And thank you for supporting me and supporting Jenna. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's under Miranda_Magick. And YouTube is Miranda's Cauldron. And Thank you very much.
You are doing great on timing. I asked her to keep it between about 30 to 60 minutes, like everyone else kind of has, and she's got us with a Q&A lined up to hit right sweetly in that mark. So if you do have any other questions, now's the time. I've got a couple that are in chat, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things as people were coming in along the way. Yes, very many pretty decks. I honestly would like to see you two get together and talk about decks and things more often, because y'all have a lot of the same similar ones, and I'm curious now to see what you two have to say. If you do need a good tarot journal, Jules, check it out. Definitely so check this link out for Jules, the Dawdling Writer. I dropped a couple of links of some of the decks that were mentioned per request. request on, at least I don't know if they went to both channels. I know they went to my channel. And then, of course, if you want to check out her streams, please support Miranda. She recently went ahead and crossed 100 subscribers, and we'd like to keep her cruising on towards and above that. So I think from Jordan, this was in regards to the Buffy TV show. Is it more, it doesn't look cartoonish, does it? It looks...
No, and this deck is based on characters from the TV show. For example, let's see if someone, okay, that I can just see, because it's been a while since I've actually watched Buffy. But we have, like here we have three of Chalice. And it's kind of cartoonish, but you can tell by looking at the picture that it's Xander, Willow, and Buffy. And there's this one, of course, is the werewolf. I can't remember his name. And yeah, so it's all based on the characters. Like here's the Knight of Pentacles. Just by looking at the picture, it's obviously Riley. And here's another one. Like this definitely looks like Angel. Like they have the characters from the TV show drawings. Pretty good.
It's pretty identifiable, even if they are abstractly cartoonish, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And do you use tarot for different seasons, different characters, or different settings when you're writing? Or like different decks, I guess, would be...
I haven't really used my the tarot in the writing per se. Like I don't draw cards to help me with my writing, but I do want to do that in a couple, either one of my next books in the series or write. I do have in my idea journal that I want to write a story based on tarot cards. Like I'm going to have one that's kind of like, for just top of my head, the cups, Knights of Cups, and kind of use it as an emotional messenger teenage boy kind of deal. However, I do believe every one of my series, other than the elemental ones, has tarot involved. Like the Witches of Solace, the two main characters, the girls, are gifted from one of the mothers a deck of cards and books to do with tarot. They're in the same one, the kids see runes in dreams, and each one of those runes spell out a word that the kids will find out later what they mean. The Maple River, kind of, there's each family that's based from the founders of this town are from England, and they're all from witch families, and they're the founding families, and each family focuses on one magical aspect. So one family will be into reading tarot cards, and another one will be with runes and with candle making and that kind of stuff. So in a way, tarot are in my stories, but more as props.
They function as part of your story, but they don't overrule it in a way.
Exactly. But I do know in the last two books for Witches of Solace, it's going to be a combination of more of the tarot, because the girls were gifted the books by actually Alexis's mother, who's not aware that her daughter and herself are involved in this coven. But so it was kind of interesting in the two that know of the coven think it's very strange that Alexis's mother would do this, because even they don't know the connection of Alexis's mother to the coven. one of those very, I do like to scatter family secrets in three of it, kind of like, I take it as because I read VC Andrews as a kid, well, a teen.
That would explain it.
And they all had family secrets, so it's not like, so it's not really a genre that I'm writing in. It's more like a subgenre.
Right. So awesome. Love it. And you've mentioned this to me before, so I'm going to loop it in. Are there gemstone mines in your area? Would you collaborate with them to do things for future projects on your channel or your books? Certain people want to know.
Oh, that would be very interesting. Being in rural Saskatchewan, I don't know if there's any really mines in this area. I do know north, it's like something called potash, which I don't think is actually, like, it's a stone, but it's not the same kind of stone as, say, howlite or fluorite. It's just one of those growing type things. But I do know where I grew up in Ontario, there are a lot of mines. There's a quartz mine that I used to play in when I was a kid. Of course, it no longer was being used by that time in the 80s. There's a sodalite mine about 45 minutes north of the town that I grew up in. And there's also Northern Ontario, there's a lot of amethyst. And when my husband and I helped a neighbor move back to Ontario, we stopped in at the amethyst mines on the way back home. And oh my goodness, it was one of those things, like, I've drove past the signs, like we've driven from Ontario to out west, I don't know how many times. And every time I see those signs, I'm like, I really want to go, but hubby's always in a hurry, so we can't stop unless he needs a break, kind of deal. So we stopped and we were there for probably 2 hours. And it was just so overwhelming. I took so many pictures. They weren't the best, but we were able to.
They didn't do the gemstones justice, but
no,
they're huge. I remember those pictures.
And,
some of them were
giant.
like
some of them, I know I do have some around. Let's see if I have any available on my desk. Like this one is one from there. And
go ahead and hold that one back up. That one was pretty. That's
and this one,
chunk.
I think this is the one that I bought actually at the sodalite mine, because they had like other rocks there available too. But why can't I find the image, the rock that I have? It might be downstairs. Who knows? But yeah, like, it was just phenomenal. We only went to one, but by the end, it was kind of getting to the end of the day.
Right.
So, and we were almost ready to call it a night. So, but it was phenomenal. But some of the chunks that I saw were probably, I'm not kidding you, they were just pieces, probably the size of this box. And it was just like the granite underneath. And then the top was just little points of amethyst.
Wow.
This one is one of the ones I did get from there. And
that's
then
a nice
also
coloring.
Smaller ones. And this is one of the sodalite ones that I got.
Oh wow.
From the Bancroft area. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. And even my husband liked it. He was like, "Oh, look over here, look over here, look over here." And I'm thinking, okay, I know you're just as well interested and enthusiastic about rocks, because whenever there's the big rock show that comes to Regina, we try to go at least every other year. Like, it depends on what's happening, because it's like a 2-hour drive. So it's like it's an all-day event. And he would be just in awe of all the ones, and he'd be like, "Oh, you should get this one. You should get that one."
My
And
husband's the same
it's
way. It's
just
like the little boy in them comes out and goes, "Rocks, pretty rocks."
exactly. And I know of all the times that I've been with my daughter, and one year we even met up with my son and his wife, that it was just phenomenal of all the different rocks all over the world, all different kinds, and they all have names. But
That's the
now, like
thing.
this
How do you
one,
remember it?
exactly, like this one is such a pretty pinkish color. I have no idea what this name rock is named, where it was found, or anywhere. And one year there was a bunch of just little samples. They were like more like pebbles, all in
Mhm.
plastic bags with labels. So which is really nice. And a lot of those were from Iceland and Greenland.
Wow.
And now when I look through those rocks, I'm like, I write with someone that lives in Iceland, because
We do,
HK
HK
Darkwood
Darkwood.
is from there, and she has a few friends that live in Iceland that pop into her stream and they write. So it's just
It
phenomenal.
it's like I found it remarkable that right before you and I started chatting, a huge lot of amethyst came into my life, and you and I have talked about amethyst a lot.
Oh yeah,
Similarly,
that's always my favorite. Like we would go to these rock shows, and I would, with my daughter, we would be like looking at all these rocks and, oh, amethyst, and she'd be, no, mom, you don't need any of those. I said, yeah, I probably don't.
it's
I probably have at least 3 cereal bowls of little amethyst, like not including the bigger ones. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I probably don't need any more. But by the end of the day, I always bring a few,
yep.
because that's my rock. And lately it's been a lot of amethyst and sodalite. And when I was pregnant for my son, so back in the late 90s, that I would go on my dad's motorcycle for weekend
Mm.
trips. And we would always stop at these neat little shops. We would usually go through New York State, Virginia,
Oh wow.
Pennsylvania, and all
So
those
you've
kind of,
been through some of the
Virginia.
ones I go to then probably,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know how many times I've been to Virginia and Gettysburg. It's like it was literally we're going on summer vacation this year. And where are we going? To Gettysburg.
Yep, the PA area and
It was
the
just,
Maryland, Virginia, PA area. We have all these little kind of like you do out west. We have a lot of these shows, but we also have these tiny little cave systems they're finding everywhere
oh,
here
the
lately.
Luray. I can't pronounce it properly,
Luray
but it's
Caverns,
we
yes.
went there when I was a kid.
I've been there
And
multiple times, yeah.
we wanted one trip, that when I went with my parents and my kids, we were going to go there. But my dad, he barely ever travels on the interstate. We
Mm.
always go the back roads. Well, he had too many things he wanted to do in that one week. So we were going through, I don't know what interstate it was, but we were going to Hampton Beach, to the lake, I mean, to the ocean. And well, he didn't realize there was now tolls on that superhighway. He didn't stop in time and hit the person in front of us. And well, we didn't go to Virginia that trip. We got
No.
off the road. My son, who was probably 10 at the time, he was, Mom, I want to go home. He wrote on Facebook that night at the hotel, I'm having a terrible time in the States. I just want to go home.
Mm.
He told his grandpa that he never wanted to go on any other trips with him. And of course, Dad was devastated. And we went to the beach, and it was always good at the beach. And then he was pretty upset. And he says, we're not going to be able to go to the caverns. It's not going to be enough time. I'm like, well, why, Dad? And he says, because we have to go on the interstate, and I'm not going on the interstate again. So we
Yeah.
went on the back roads to Salem. And Brennan, like, he was like literally in the woods. Like there was, like, if we saw a car, we would have been in an accident because there was no way we would have been able to get off the road in time because it was like literally down a trail.
Wow.
He kept saying, Grandpa, this is amazing. This is amazing. He was so fun. And then we got lost, which is true to form. We end up going at the end of a road. The road stopped. And he's like, Brendan says, oh, we're lost. Can we go out and play in the woods, Grandpa?
Child logic. Child logic.
Yeah. So we turned around and went back onto a regular highway. And it was great. We went to Salem, we went to the beach, but we did not go to the caverns. We came home. But we stayed off the interstate.
Blame you. Do not blame
you. No interstates for us.
So do you gravitate towards certain colored pens, or like do certain cards, like what's your color coding with your pens for your journaling?
Okay, for my journal, it varies. Right now I'm going through 2 different shades of red. So this red and this kind of burgundy red.
Ooh, nice.
And also sometimes you can get a really good deal at the dollar store for pens.
Yes.
These
are those zebras.
They are studio. I got, I think, 30 or 40 in a package of different colors. There was even a few colors like this one. Isn't that a pretty color? It's such a pretty purple. Oh, and you write in it, it's this it's like fluorescent green and changes colors. And like this one, it changes between a pink and a purple. I love this color.
Color changing gel ink. What?
But it was like, I only got 1 package. I'm like, well, I think I paid like $2 or $3. And I thought, well, even if they didn't work out, or even if half the pens work, because I don't get pencils at the dollar store.
No,
the design colored ones, they all break. Yep. And even the Papermate, I don't even get them at the dollar store because they break. Must have been like they don't take care of them very often. Once they come into, like, for shipping, they just throw them. But most of the time, but these pens, they are amazing. I went back after I used them and I got a couple more packages. But when I highlight, when I use my color pens for my writing, each one of my characters have their own colors. And yeah, I'm one of those girls. My main 2 girls are always pink and purple. Pink and purple. And it could be light purple, could be dark purple, mostly light purple. And then my 2 male characters are usually a light blue or navy blue, usually in a light blue, and like a lime green. And for my Witches of Solace, I have to have a lot more colors for that, since there's 6 main characters of the young adults, but one of them, he doesn't have a voice, main character, like a point of view, until near the end of the second book. And when I finally wrote into his point of view, like he was there, but he wasn't like a major character. He was kind of in the background. He was dating one of the girls, so he was there, but he was very important to the whole plot. So getting into his point of view was so much fun. It was just, I wasn't going to even give him a voice until book 3. But
he's getting one sooner.
Yeah, and he had, I'm just doing this from memory because I haven't looked at book 2 in probably 2 years. And I think he also does one of the last chapters. So that's how my color goes with that. It's just like on a whim. Like I always do black and orange for Halloween.
Same.
And I don't even really like orange. But when I'm using orange more, I'm like, I kind of like orange. So a
Yeah.
couple of my characters, like a couple of the moms, they have theirs is an orange.
I tend to do Christmas colors without meaning to for certain couples too.
Mm,
Red and green.
yeah.
Mama
Yeah,
Maggie. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, like I just do whatever color, but those are my four my main ones. And then when I do editing, I try not to use red.
You
I
did
think
say
it's
that.
probably because it's a school thing. But give me like purples and greens and all these other colors. Unless I know this is a really bad chapter. This is before I color coded my characters. That if I see red, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a terrible chapter to go through. And it usually is one of the harder ones to revise.
I didn't grade essays in red ink for that very reason as a teacher. If they saw red, they knew they had to make a one-on-one meeting with me. It was bad because that's all I would take it out for, is to write a comment at the end of, should we have a writing conference, question mark. So Mama Maggie asks, have you written characters that mock or misunderstand the use of tarot by other characters? And I like this question because this could even
Mm,
be a, like, they interpreted it differently, or they know different decks or have different walks of life kind of background.
the only thing I've come close from memory is Witches of Solace. It's maybe about halfway when the four main characters and their mentors get together. They're talking about this one book that has been missing from the coven for a couple hundred years, and one of the boys is kind of destined to find it. And he was kind of like the football player, jock, like the rebel type character. He says, "Well, I've been. Oh, you mean like the witches, like books on witchcraft that he's been finding at the library?" And one of the girls she's jealous of her friend because she's a witch and she's not, and she gets all the good grades, she doesn't, so they're kind of opposites, the girls too. And she makes some ignorant comment, witchcraft is not real, kind of thing. But and it's just kind of funny coming from her because her family owns a bookstore, and it was her mom that gave the three girls the tarot deck. But
Yeah,
she's
witchcraft
okay
ain't
with the
real,
tarot,
huh?
but witchcraft is not real. But I'm kind of leaning towards her comment because she's jealous. She's upset. She's kind of on the outskirts. The two boys are now fighting over Callie, and Alexis is feeling all alone, kind of deal. But I haven't really got anything evil to do with that or any of the other characters. I might have a little bit of. I was thinking on maybe one of the characters, kind of like classmates or something, could be kind of saying that negative things about the twins whose parents own an occult shop. So I might do something like that. But the main characters in that story, there's 6 of them, which is kind of my norm. They they're okay with the families being witches. They're just upset that their parents never told them.
It's not that we're upset that you are, we're just upset we didn't have this info.
Exactly, especially when two of their older siblings were a bit older,
This is fair, yeah.
and they know of all the secrets. And the in that story, the grandparents, there was a problem, and the majority of the grandparents had to leave town. And one family took their boys with them, and they weren't supposed to, and they
Oh
didn't know where we
no.
were. So, and then for the current book, the boys came back with their family, but their grandparents aren't allowed. So that's a mystery of, okay, if all the grandparents of probably 10 families, actually 13 families, why there's only two of the grandparents that are still in town. A couple of them are able to visit for a couple of days a year, but the rest of them are never allowed to step foot in the town ever again. So that's a mystery that they have to figure out, and I have to figure it too, because I really don't know why the country
Yet.
fell apart.
Yet.
I have ideas. Like at first I thought, well, this child is going to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I don't kill my characters. I can't do that. So she's just kidnapped. But I don't know who kidnapped her. Was it the grandparents? Is that why they're not in town anymore?
That's the logic.
Maybe the tarot cards will help me decipher why. Because Maple River, I've only written, I don't know, maybe complete words, maybe 50,000, 60,000 words. And I'm only maybe halfway through. So maybe I'm actually writing 2 books in one like I always do. But it'll be interesting to use my tarot cards to which ones I would use to figure that out. And the deck I would probably use would be my Witch's Tarot.
That would make the most sense given the characters you have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for spending so much time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to do again, we're welcomed and glad to have you back. And everyone, please do share some love with Miranda. On my podcast, Listening to the Voices in Our Heads, we have an episode with Miranda that we filmed about a month ago that's getting ready to come out here in the coming weeks on this channel. Please do give her some love and support all she does. And above all else, take care of you. You're worth it.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.